This is the iBuyer Experiment Podcast, how technology is changing real estate, with your hosts, Kayla Leos, Jason Leos, Keith Howard, and Elliot Tomaszewski. Please consider subscribing so you're notified when we launch a new podcast. Let's go.
What's poppin'? How you
What is
pull up?
poppin'?
How you pull up?
I pull up.
So I thought we would start off today with some fun little facts, actually a fact that I just learned myself. So on Realtor Magazine, I thought this would be fun. This is how much COVID is just changing our environment in our personal homes. And, you know, obviously we're in the real estate business and we help people find their homes. So in the past, pre-COVID, what would you say the favorite room of the house is for the family?
The kitchen.
The kitchen.
Okay.
Kitchen /
Over
great room.
2,000 people were surveyed. 27% say it's their bedroom / master bedroom because
So
it
now
gives
they're
them the
afraid-
ability to hide from the family.
Oh my gosh. I'm afraid
Because-
of my family now.
Because we're stuck at home all day together,
Fearmonger.
especially in certain states. And I was just like, whoa, okay, well, all right. Now when you sell a house, sell them on that master bedroom.
Yeah.
That's
All
good
right.
news for us because we're updating ours right now, and it's going to be so cool.
Yes. Well, or you guys can actually conjugate though, and you're like, I saw your new island that you guys posted. Looks sick, by the way.
Yes.
And that looks like actually like a really cool place to meet and greet and be a family.
It does. Our island is like the Titanic. It's the
But-
waterfall, quartz. It's
But
really
I
cool.
can see that because before when you were away at the house, you come together and you hang out in the kitchen. But now, like, you're always together, so you hang out in the master bedroom.
Very true.
You know, to that point too, I know we're all, especially the three of us, dealing with the fun, no kids in school stuff. And it is funny, like how you love spending time with your family, but like literally, yesterday I had my oldest 15-year-old son with
There
me
he is
while I'm
right there.
trying to.
Is he doing? He's doing Zoom
Yeah,
classes right now.
he's doing school right now. While
He's
we're
on Spotify. I can see he's on Spotify.
Okay, well, should be.
He's listening to a little juice.
Get to schoolwork. Get to schoolwork, boy. So anyway, the long and the short of what I was wanting to say is like he was there quiet, but when you're just around them all day on top of things, comes dinner time and you're just like hangout time, and your nerves are more shot because you're not like you're not around them, right? Or excuse me, they're around you all the time, and so it's just I find it
It's
very
crazy times.
Interesting, yeah.
Well,
like it's
there's
like
never,
overload.
Yeah, there's never a break, right?
Right.
And I think that something you pointed out, Elliot, earlier when we were talking about, distance learning and when you work and your children are distance learning, oh my gosh, it's like you have two jobs.
Yep.
So how's that going for you?
Oh, well, I'll share what I was saying earlier. You know, right now, currently, Ellie and Levi are going to Carlson Elementary, which is basically an elementary, but it's handled by a place called Kids Express, and it's $32 a day to send them there. So now I'm having to pay $32 a day per a child to send them to what basically
School.
is public school.
Wow.
So-
It is public school
They're
because it's still
allowed-
ran by the teachers.
It's just so crazy.
It is
Everything
crazy.
crazy right now. So they're allowed to go to that, but they're not allowed to go to school.
Yep. Daycares are open. Private schools are open. Certain for-profit charter schools are about to open. But yet, the biggest one of all of them, the fun public system taxpayer-funded program, it's too risky. Can't
Well,
open.
and they're also allowed to practice football too,
Yeah.
and volleyball, and go to all these workouts and stuff, but they're not able to go to school.
Definitely interesting. So how do you think then the home office is going to rank in the future? Is that going to be important for buyers?
I think so. I mean, just personal experience. And, my wife works more from home this year than her entire employment combined. And so to her employees, they, go to the office sometimes once per week. And, how many clients do we come across that now work from home? So I think, bedrooms and office space, being able to seclude yourself during the day, it's definitely going to be just a little bit of a mind shift as we keep moving forward.
Well, get this. So the click to list listing that I told you that we're starting and we're trying to run the beta on it and all of those types of things. Keith and I were at the house the other day walking the property. It's a tenant-occupied property because they live in Ireland. The tenant in the property works in the ID department for the Food Network, was it?
Yeah.
The Food Network. So they have this big monstrosity building here. Like, huge part is IT. They're basically planning to shut it down.
She said their rent was over $200,000 a month.
Yeah. Woo. So they're going to shut it down. All of their servers, they're figuring out, because it's massive, right? You know, Food Network, trying to figure out how to get it up into the cloud so they can get rid of that too. So the ripple effect of this is just, I mean, it is going to be gargantuan. And we all know that, we've all known that the commercial, I think long-term scale, that the commercial market is going to be
Obliterated.
It's going to take the biggest hit.
Facebook, I mean, I think how big Facebook is. They are letting people work from home forever. Like, they're literally saying you can work from home forever.
I know Twitter did that as well.
That's insane.
Yeah, we're headed for a commercial apocalypse. However, I do think, though, there's such great collaboration and synergy that occurs when people come together. And I feel like some of that is going to be lost through technology. So I think that's really sad. And what would the world have looked like, 5 years from now had this not happened versus what the world's going to look like 5 years from now because this happened?
Well, case in point, the four of us would not be sitting in this room if we hadn't found a way to start off getting together, right? Like, a lot of our think tanks and synergies happened together,
right,
not from you guys sitting in your house. I mean, obviously it turned into a collective, but it all started with a synergistic environment and approach.
Yeah, we
absolutely.
couldn't have done this on the phone.
Heck
No, because we could have. It just would have taken a lot more time and it would have looked different because you have to build trust. And how does trust get built? I think it's easier when you can see someone and interact with someone. And yeah. So.
Yep. Crazy.
A couple other cool facts. I guess now there's an uprise in the rental industry with tenants.
Oh.
There's massive protests starting to happening in the industry because of so many people being behind on their rent. And they're literally saying that there's protests to fight evictions. I think I was listening to a different podcast yesterday, and if I remember correctly, there's well over $1 billion worth of back due rent in America right now.
What? Yeah. $1 billion
like
of back due rent?
The word B.
Whoa.
I remember the word B being a part of that, and I was
Dang.
like, oh my goodness.
Well, I'm just curious, the listing that you're taking from the people that live in Ireland, you said it was tenant occupied. Are their tenants current?
Yeah.
They are. Okay.
Yeah, I think she's blessed more because she's IT based. They said that she's been an awesome tenant. But hey, little funny thing I know we have found on this, I don't remember what she's paying. I want to say it's like $11.50. The market rent's like $15-16. So she's way below rent. I'm like, you're lucky. I mean, like it's literally central Chandler location, 1,750 square feet for 1,100. I'm like,
1,100.
I'm
you
like,
can't get a one
yo,
apartment for 1,100 anymore.
You cannot. But I guess what I think is if you're purchasing a tenant occupied property right now, you need to be really concerned because that tenant does not technically have to pay.
I wouldn't be buying one of those right now.
We're still in a rent moratorium.
That's kind of scary. Like when you think about it, I mean, just for us as the real estate professionals in this, I commented in a forum yesterday about business health, and one of the things that I think is undervalued, and is I really put myself in that situation, was not only the source of the business, but what's the longevity of the source of that business, right? Because case in point, short sales, REO, it was popping when it was popping, but the longevity of that is if you wanted to have a 20-year career, it couldn't happen, right, in that environment. And so one of the best ways that I was communicating is knowing your source of business, but also what's the longevity, what's the ripple effect. Case in point, the referral of the referrals that we were talking about before too. So interesting.
Yeah, the whole rental thing is going to be really interesting. Super interesting.
But I heard you saying that they can the landlords can shut off their power and their water.
Yeah.
Well, that's something
Tell us about that, Keith.
The governor of California, and as you all know, when it happens in one place, it typically starts happening in other places. This just was announced within the last 24 to 48 hours, so very new information they're a little bit more hardcore in California about how many people can get together inside of a home, collectively as a group. So what they were finding is people were renting out properties and then throwing big parties, or people, in the hills were throwing big parties because, nightclubs and bars are totally shut down there.
Yeah.
So now he just, threw out another executive order allowing the utility companies that if a neighbor calls in to saying, hey, there's a big party at this house right now, they clearly have more than XYZ people, I don't remember what that amount was, the utility companies can go shut their power and water off for going against having that many people together. So, I mean, I think it's getting out of hand, but I just thought that was super interesting.
Oh, and there are going to be Karens across the whole scene calling those neighbors.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
he said the usually snitches are
Karens.
but he said now snitches
get stitches.
Snitches get rewards. Now he's literally that's what he said. Snitches get rewards. We want
Karen
you to
snack.
We want you to call on your neighbors. So
Well, can you imagine?
I am
though?
still in that, Jay. A Karen snack. I love.
Love it.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, you guys have to bear with us. We got a new toy here too that we're trying to test out and play with, so it's kind of fun little soundboard here.
That is super fun.
Yeah. Anyways,
So I got a fun stat here on certain things that we were kind of. This is actually, I sent Kai some stats around agents and social media and stuff like that too. One thing I'm really anxious to kind of see where it goes is these are 2019 stats. I think was this or 2019 stats that over 60% of all buyers are finding their future house on actually Google of all things, not Zillow, not Realtor.com. All of those other things.
well, I'm sure they're going
on
on to Google and saying homes in
Yep.
Gilbert, and then what pops up first is Zillow, Realtor.com, and then they go on to Realtor.com.
Right. So it's kind of like that. I'm curious, and again, us being in this space, like where following the money is honestly where, just cutting the chase of what I'm getting at is like, all right, all those agents that are spending a boatload of money on Zillow, right? Like what is your return on that investment? How long is that going to be in place? Where, hey, maybe spend the money on, the PPC or, upping your SEO around Google and those types of things. Because if 60% of those eyeballs are starting there, is that a number that's going to grow in 2020, 2021, and, onward?
Or if you're a profitable real estate agent or team, just hiring someone that can handle that for you, right? And I know that's one of the things that we're able to do. We've partnered with pay-per-click companies that get great results, and rather than spinning your wheels trying to figure out how to run those campaigns and track your analytics and look at your conversions, just hire a company that can get the result for you, right?
Yep.
But
Well,
yeah,
that's
I completely agree though.
That's entrepreneurial 101, right? Like where you do everything from the president, duties to janitorial duties, like where the four of us, the amount of skill set that we've had to acquire in the, however long we've all been doing this to just run your business is insane. Like, where you could probably get a job, just in like an accounting firm to a design firm, all these little things that you have to pick up to actually make it through this. It's just funny where you can now offload it and focus on something that's what's your highest return on investment of time. So.
Absolutely. Right. That's what I'm excited about is to really empower agents to do what they do best. And that's, serve and support their client and not have to worry about the technology. However, I think something's really interesting, a cool stat I'd like to share that kind of segues into this is Zillow recently did a study and said 30% of Americans say because of the pandemic, they're more likely to buy a home entirely online.
Wow.
Crazy, right? 43%, so that's even higher, are more likely to sell a home entirely online.
43%?
43%.
Wow.
Okay, so that's a fundamental shift. This is a seismic shift in the way consumers are buying and selling homes. This has never happened before, you guys. And something that we've anticipated, and I think one of the reasons why we created Zoodealio was because we knew this was happening. We just didn't realize it was going to come at us like a freight train.
I'd like to just dovetail off of that real quick. I mean, we thought the biggest shift we'd seen in real estate was the rise of the iBuyers, you know,
Yeah. Still one of the biggest,
three
yeah.
plus years ago. And it did. It definitely,
'cause
it
they're
definitely
online,
did,
right?
It definitely
Yep.
did alter the mindset of really more home sellers than buyers than anything.
For sure.
But what COVID has done, those stats,
Especially
that
in the-
only
in the
exist
time it's
because
done
of
it.
COVID. Only exists.
In the time it's
100%.
done it.
And
That's, I mean, we're
100%.
literally 6 months into this. And that's the long side of things.
And I want to say that one more time for my Instagram. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Actually, Jay, I'm going to airdrop you this stat so I can read it.
Okay.
But yeah,
Airdrop away.
So, you know, unfortunately, the pandemic has been terrible, but for what we're doing and what we've built, it's been a blessing. You got to edit that
Well,
out.
yeah. Elliot, chop. So one of the other things too that I think is so curious that, like I said, these stats, I would love to figure out some type of system for us internally to look at where we're at right now and then measure them for a year, because I actually think that we'll see massive growth in the next year, but I think this is where the benchmark is going to happen, because then it's really going to explode, because, you know, one good thought leads to another good thought, leads to another good thought. And when you really look at these types of environments, it takes, as we all know, it takes a long time to really build something that is worthwhile when it comes to software and you work out the bugs, et cetera.
About a year.
Yeah.
Or
right?
over.
About it. Yeah. You sound like you're speaking from experience.
Spend a whole lot of money.
Everything takes longer than we expected.
So, but just cutting to the chase on this, like agents that make over $100,000 a year use their CRM 2 times more than the agents that don't, right? Like they have
two
some type
times
of
more likely to use a CRM.
correct.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
they,
see that. I get that.
yeah, and it's because it's a system and a process, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I actually wanted to throw a question out to us that I think is just so relevant for what we're building and what you just said a second ago, Kayla. What is your guys' take on the consumer actually searching out the agent that is the source of business, where it's no longer can they do it, it's going to be more of a programs, instant gratification, instant answer type environment? I mean, I know that's obviously, you know, what we've kind of been building towards with Zoodealio, but how do you guys think that environment, do you think that environment is going to come into place more and more, I guess is ultimately what I'm asking.
Well, yes, I think it's just like everything else. It's going to take a little bit of time, meaning where the agent is going to catch up faster in the industry than the consumer, if you will. However, through using a platform like Zoodealio that we offer completely unique programs that no one else does, through the information, the agent giving those to their own clientele base, their database, using it to prospect new business, to educate consumers on those programs, that's where the big shift will happen. But based on Zillow doing their survey, clearly that the demand's already starting there, and it's only going to rise.
You
Right.
know, that 43% of Americans that are more likely to sell their home entirely online.
Wait, say that again. Ready? Go.
Hold on. Can you start over?
Yep. Go.
Zillow reports 30% of Americans. Sorry, I messed that up.
Okay, hold on.
Good thing for us, we have editing.
All right. Go ahead.
Zillow reports 36% of Americans say because of the pandemic, they're more likely to buy a home entirely online. That's crazy.
Wow. 43%.
Check out this one. 43% say they're more likely to sell a home entirely online. That's insane. So because of that 43%, what is that going to look like to sell your home entirely online, right? Now we've had the iBuyer, like Keith has mentioned. My biggest concern with the iBuyer, and one of the things that I'm just really super passionate about, is the client. Sellers are getting, I don't want to say taken advantage of, because they're agreeing to this. They obviously want the convenience, they want the certainty, and they're willing to pay a price for it. But the way most of these iBuyers operate by charging a risk or a service fee. It's super high. You don't know if it's competitive. And then something else that they just think the consumer really isn't aware of is they're beating them up in the inspection period, and they're getting these massive discounts.
Yep.
And then when the sale records at the county recorder's office,
You don't
it's
show that.
recording for a very high price.
They don't show
And
those.
so-
They don't show the
No.
reductions.
These
for
incredibly
repairs.
important statistics are not available to real estate agents, to consumers at large.
So
right?
they think they're looking at the tax records, are seeing, oh, they sold their house for this.
Exactly.
When
Or they
really
just-
they,
they think
sold their
that
house for maybe 11 to 15% under
Well,
that.
we want to talk about transparency in the real estate transaction, and I think this is a fundamental RESPA issue, and I think this is something that we need to petition for. There needs to be transparency in what those service fees are and what the fees are that they're taking for an inspection period reduction, because it is not showing in the transfer tax, and because of that, nobody knows. And so
Totally.
it's extremely...
It is not transparent.
No, it is
And
not.
a lot of people, they come from the thought of a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush, right? Like, so meaning that they're going to stop at that first offer thinking that that's what they're going to get. Then they go almost all the way to that finish line and say, oh, it's only $5 more grand. Oh, it's only $6 more grand.
Absolutely,
And it's
absolutely.
just, they're,
and then they're frustrated at that time, and they're just like, forget it. I'll
Case
just
in-
do it.
Case,
Right?
Yep, case in point. I was just
We've already
talking-
made plans.
Right.
We've had the movers come over and
Well,
look at our
let's not
stuff.
forget that this individual chose that iBuyer offer because they valued certainty. Okay.
Yep.
And now they've got a certain price that they can get out of this house for, and now they've got a certain price that these repairs are going to cost them. And so they're more likely probably to just agree to it and move forward. And a case in point, I was just talking with one of our real estate agents today, and they were sharing with me that they just put a house on the market. It's pristine. It was a remodel. It got bid up $10,000. Now they got the bins are back, and they're asking for a $5,000 credit and a $5,000 reduction in price. And the seller just wants to do it and go forward with it because they're so done with the process. Well, can you imagine what all of these people accepting these iBuyer offers are thinking too? The same thing.
Yep.
And so I think that what really frustrates me is there are options when it comes to selling your home entirely online. And iBuyer is one option, and it may be a great option, but there are other options. And I think that with our technology, we are providing a way for the seller to do that and take advantage of great technology that will allow them to sell online contactlessly while still maximizing their return on investment. Because it's important, people. Let's not forget, this is tens of thousands of dollars that people are walking away from.
totally.
Yeah, these Wall Street companies, they're not doing it for free.
So here's proof. Keith, tell me about the Shane's house that you just had. Like, this is, give us like the real walk. He went to the iBuyers. What are you going to put it on the market for? All that stuff.
Yeah, so I have a past client that he wants to sell the house that he's currently in right now, and then either move out of state or upgrade here locally in the Phoenix metro area. So he actually asked about the iBuyer offers, and I'm just like, you know what? He's my buddy. I'm not worried about getting sidestepped. I'm just using that very loosely. I said, why don't you just go ahead and go to this XYZ iBuyer, this XYZ iBuyer. One of them came back at $300,000, which wasn't too bad, but their fee was 8.5%. Then one of them came back at $280,000. I don't remember what the service fee
And these
was.
are the perennial powerhouse iBuyers.
Yeah, the largest iBuyers out there, 6 to 7%. I'm going to list this property for $315,000. I'm super confident that, honestly, if I don't get that in 2 weeks, I'll be completely blown away, because that's just how strong our market is right now. And so just to Kayla's point, I told him, I said, if this takes, because of that competitive price range, if this takes more than a half a dozen, really more than 10 showings, I just don't see that based on current data. And to give up all that money for 2 weeks, potentially or less, maybe even 30 days tops, tens of thousands of dollars. And that's where we, as the real estate agent, really need to come to the advisement, because of the shift of the market, because of now real estate's even changing dramatically more than it was 6+ months ago, where we need to really educate our consumers, not to give up that money, unless it's just like Kayla said, that just so happens to be the best possible option for them based on certain circumstances.
So, I mean, to me, I love hearing this, because, I love the formula that a lot of these guys have created, and in certain case scenarios, an iBuyer does make sense. But I mean, I'll call us out, and I mean, obviously, as we move into our launch of Zoodealio, and the seller, again, I'm in the seller plus trade-in plus type environment. I want to talk about that for just a quick second, and why we've created that, because we got tired of seeing these iBuyers get all the upside. So Keith, just share with the some of the agents out there that are potentially hearing this, what that looks like. And then any of you prospective investors out there, we got an amazing opportunity for you, because that's kind of what we need to really get this off of the ground is more capital. So tell me how that works.
Right. So here's how I think about it. Just picture this: you take an iBuyer offer at $280,000 with a 7%, service fee. Mm-hmm. You think the numbers work for you? You're happy as a consumer. We won't talk about the inspection period. The deal's done. You were happy. More of a seamless transaction. You got it on there pretty quick. Then that iBuyer goes and relists the property for $300,000. Well, guess what? They get the $20,000 spread. That's where Caleb was talking about people giving up so much money. So with our unofficial name, the Cash Seller Plus, what we want to do is give the ability to basically give an iBuyer offer, but at market value, and the seller gets the upside. I mean, this is just amazing. Nobody else is doing this. So your house is worth $300,000 in that same scenario. We're going to come in and be able to give you a cash offer at $300,000 minus a service fee, just like an iBuyer, and then what we call a market risk fee. And the market risk fee is, you get that guaranteed price. Once that transaction closes, the property is then listed on the market at the $300,000 or potentially maybe $305 by the time it closes, because our market's shooting up so darn fast.
Whatever the market justifies.
Whatever we sell the property for above what we paid for it, the net proceeds goes back into the seller's pocket. We're not taking that away from them, minus some nominal daily holding costs.
So you get the certainty, and you get the upside.
And the upside. So we want to get
this is a massive win for the agent, and massive win for the consumer.
Right. Well,
it's instant,
the
right?
The biggest win is for the consumer. Mm-hmm. We want to be able to give consumers options that allows them to keep the equity, but also get the certainty, which is what they're looking for. And then the agent gets to offer a program through our Zoodealio platform that they're not going to be able to offer anywhere else. It's
there's a monetary,
really, really cool.
There's a monetary gain. Tell what's the monetary gains, for the agent in this circumstance.
Well, they get the listing, and they get to probably find the seller's new house.
And it's just an instant paycheck too, right? Like that's the other thing.
So we're taking it away from Wall Street, and we're putting it back into the agent's pocket.
That's right. We want to empower.
Jason just dropped it right there.
We want to empower the agent. We basically want to make the agent an iBuyer.
And you guys, I think it's important that we talk about this for a moment. I think the statistic, 65% of real estate agents are female. And all of you women 65. Out there listening right now, please, I know you do this business because of your heart. You love helping people. You love being the one that is there to guide them and serve and support them. But you have got to realize that if you aren't adapting to this form of technology, your opportunity to serve and support people will continue to diminish. And that's just kind of like a little PSA out there for all of you amazing women. You sell so much real estate. There are way more of us selling real estate.
Heck yeah.
And we have to realize that, because I think Elliot just said, what's the monetary value? But I know that for a lot of the women out there, that's not how they think. They're not leading with revenue. We should be. We really should be, because that serves and supports us at our highest, but we're not. And so just realize, though, that it also helps you serve and support more people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very well said.
Awesome. So let's see. One of the other things that, I know I want to share that's a good fun fact here that I'm just curious to know about. Laptop, handheld devices, those types of things. 52% of all home buyers use iPhones, specifically iPhones. for their home search.
Oh, Keith just
I know
tensed up.
he's the only Androider in here.
Yeah, that's right. I'm the other 48%er.
Yeah. But I'm just like it's kind of wild when you look at that, like, you know, what we designed to be conducive, like, you know, for like the browser, the Android versus iOS, you know, systems, like those types of things. It makes me think, like, you know, what's that user journey going to be to actually see a home, right?
Oh, so you're saying 52% of people use their iPhones to search for homes?
Correct.
Or
I got you, Android users.
Right.
I got you.
Right.
Gotcha. Well, yeah. I mean, I think everyone's got them in their pocket. There's our own little computers now. Everything's like set up for iPhone or phone searching, and it's easier to do.
Well, and I mean, you guys have been huge on this. I mean, the fact that you bought, you know, a 3D Matterport, right? Like, that's in certain environments when you can go in and do that. I mean, those things are awesome. I mean, literally, you could be outside of the front of the house, do a tour, you know, from your hand while standing in front of the house. You know, with one of the things that we're currently bringing to life in the Click to List and our IDX, you're going to be able to make a cash offer on that house while standing in front of it. You know, that it'll go directly to the agent. You know, all of these types of things that are just, you know, awesome to bring about, like I said. So all these things that sound like Star Trek, you know, I mean, you guys remember that when you were watching a kid, like all the cool things Star Trek used to do, like talk to the bridge.
You just aged yourself,
I know, man. Well,
Star
hey,
Trek,
I'm not
Star
afraid.
Trek.
I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm an old guy with.
Yep, now we have spaceships in space.
But these things are becoming a reality, right?
Yeah.
So it's you know, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Definitely cool. And if you're an agent out there listening, you have to adapt. If you're not adapting to contactless listings and being able to communicate with your client online, you're gonna die. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely adapt or die. And I think that, you know, probably I'd say with over the past 10 years, one of the things I think that came in and changed real estate so much was social media, and really changed the way that people communicate with each other. And that has since changed the way consumers probably pick their real estate agents.
Yep.
But I think that this is just such an easy plug and play for your social media, right? If you're out there and you're using social media and you've got a great presence, well, if you're just plugging your website here and again and just giving little tidbits about, like, oh, hey, by the way, you're watching me, I love selling real estate, would love to help you. If you're interested in selling your home contactlessly online, check out my site. You know, there's so many great ways to just kind of like integrate little tidbits into what you're already doing to drive them back into, you know, your
Network.
funnel.
Your environment.
Yeah, your environment.
Well, and I mean, I think it is interesting, like how, again, I mean, certainly the three of us have been in this business long enough that, I mean, hell, I remember when I very first got into this, you know, business, it was, you know, paper lists and, you know, like how we went about trying to obtain business. Like I literally used to go to FSBO.com, right? Or, you know, forsalebyowner.com and, you know, make cold calls. I mean, that was 100% how I
Write
started.
our short sell notes from the bank on a notepad.
Yeah. Do you remember our old accordion file system? I used to have an hourly employee. I don't remember her name now, but she literally every
I
morning.
think it was Diane.
I think it was. She would look up, reverse look up our list in whitepages.com. Like this is prior to Mojo. This is like, so we would show up with like about 25 to 30, you know, numbers that we would call. And we had like this accordion system, the way that we did things. Like we were CRMing it. I mean, like that was that was like back when like Wise Agent started a rollout.
Just
Remember
10
that?
years ago. That's it.
Well, is that, no, it's more than that.
Back in
No,
2010.
because we were KW.
Yeah, back in 2010. That's what I'm saying. To think about how much has changed just within a decade with technology is the point of the conversation.
Yeah.
Right. And I think COVID is catapulting us into a completely new arena. And what I think is there's no going back,
No.
right? Like who's going to go back from digital signatures, right?
No.
Anyone?
Mm-mm.
Anyone?
No.
You go back to
Nope.
those contracts where you
Who's-
press really hard.
Oh, yeah.
And
Who's going to go back to the fax machine, right? Nope, not happening. So we're moving forward. We have taken a giant leap, and it's exciting.
When is the last time that you had a client sign a contract in front of you? I'm like,
I just had one a couple months ago, but the dude was 83, so that's why. He said, he didn't have a computer or a laptop at his house. He was a snowbird type thing. So sure enough, boom, it had been a long time. But anyway, yeah, that's a very rare scenario.
Outlier.
Yeah.
For sure.
the last one I
Awesome
remember.
guy, though.
The
He was
last
fun
one
to
I
work
remember
with.
before that was the other old guy, Sun Lakes Cactus something that the house was on. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, that was like 4 or 5 years ago. But
Gosh.
so we just dropped a couple little nuggets today about some of the programs that's going to be a part of our Zoodealio platform and software that we're building. So if you want to kind of further inquiry about that, go to zoodealio.com. You can kind of see a little bit about what's going on. There's going to be a lot more to come, and reach out with any questions.
Heck yeah.
Super exciting. And hey, if you're listening and you'd like to be featured on the Zoodealio podcast, let us know. We'd love to feature you in your business. And if you have any topics you'd like us to cover and discuss, let us know. We'd be happy to do so.
Heck yeah, I love it.
All right, guys.
Peace.
Great podcast.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Zoodealio's out.
We truly appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today on the iBuyer Experiment podcast. Please remember to like and subscribe so that you're notified when we launch new podcasts. We'll catch you on the next one.
Show you the